Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Zoom mini class. Playing with my lighting a little bit here. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, it's Saturday. Hey, it's the last Saturday of September. Happy fall and happy almost end of September. Like, it's crazy. So I heard on the radio this morning that we are, what is it, 3 months until Christmas? That just, this year has just flown by, but hopefully that means that we've been having lots and lots of fun. And today we are going to make a really fun little card, and I'm going to show you a technique. It's called faux embossing. So I know there are lots of companies out there with great embossing folders, and whether it's a 3D embossing folder or just a regular one, and I'm sure we all have embossing folders in our stash, but sometimes we want a very specific shape, or maybe we just can't find the folder in general, or we just want to do something fun. So today I'm going to show you how you can create that raised embossed look without using an embossing folder. Today I'm going to be just using a star punch. For this technique, you can do any shape, any pattern. You could use dies as well. My original thought was I was going to use one of the flower dies, or we could have even used the little butterfly here, but I did not get these all pre-prepped and just thought the punch would be a little bit faster. The technique would apply. It's just the prep step that would be a little bit different. Because with this, basically what we're going to do is we are going to layer same color shapes on top of the same color paper, and can't even see that very well on the camera there, but it's going to create that raised look for as if you had run it through an embossing folder. And you can layer up more than one shape on top of each other. If you go back in our video archives, we did have a video on making your own chipboard. This is very much the same kind of approach, building up layers on top of layers. I'm going to just see if, can I turn on? No, I'm not going to mess with my camera settings. I will make sure I bring things up closer because it's really not showing up super well. Anyways, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just punch a whole bunch of stars out of my tealy green paper here. That's the paper I'm going to be using. And I've got my card base here ready, and we're going to do a fun little thing with this as well. Because you know what? You guys know you can just make a regular card with this technique, but I'm going to show you something extra fun as well. I believe I asked you ladies to cut this piece 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that it covers the whole card front. I'm actually going to make a slight alteration to that, so you can grab your trimmers. I'm going to cut mine down to 4 by 5 1/4, just so I have a little bit of a border showing. So you can do that as well. And like I said, if you've got your punch or you're using dies, go ahead and punch out a whole bunch. I'm going to say 15 or 20 shapes as we sit here. And then we will start layering and building our faux embossed panel. So like I said, I'm trimming this down to 4 by 5 1/4, getting rid of my scraps. So that will fit nicely on here. And now I can put my trimmer away. And I'm just going to punch out a whole bunch of stars. The nice thing with this technique too is that often with a basic shape type embossing folder, they're very, I'm going to say very orderly in that they're straight lines and all that kind of thing. With this technique, you can make them a little bit more funky, a little bit more random as well, because you're the one placing the pieces. So I've got stars falling all over my desk. One fell in my lap. Excuse me here. All right, we'll see if that's enough. I tried doing a snowflake, but my punch wasn't working very well. So that's why I've switched to a star. I've still got more paper here that I can punch out if I wish, but let's see how we make it here. Nope, that's my extra. I want this piece. For this technique, I am actually going to use a liquid adhesive to stick these guys down, because I want it to get as close and as flush to my surface as possible. The liquid glue will hold those edges a little bit better, a little bit easier than my tape runner, but any adhesive will do. Use whatever you've got handy and whatever your favorite adhesive is. Do I have, I'm gonna grab, this has my little sticky thing on the end, though it's not super sticky anymore, but that might also help me place things. All right, so like I said, I am just gonna go about my business and glue these little stars in place. If you are an orderly person, feel free to lay out a little ruler or a string across to make sure you've got straight lines. I'm gonna go random. So just as if I was random stamping. I don't know if you can, wow, my lighting is way off today. If I turn that off, is it better? That's a little, not so many shadows. But there you can see I've got it just kind of here in the middle. And I'm just gonna keep sticking stars down in that random pattern. So I'll put one up here. And I do think that I'm gonna do two layers on my stars, just so that they really kind of jump off that page. But I'm gonna get that first layer down and then go back and add the second layer. Can you guys see that okay? I feel like I'm in a bit of a shadow here, but I apologize.
It's fine. It's much better than what it was the first time, Sheri.
Okay, thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome.
I almost feel like I need to take a videography class or find lighting for dummies, because this seems to be my biggest challenge, is getting my lighting right. I'll do that in my spare time, she says as she laughs crazily.
I laughed for you on that one.
I'm even going to put a few off the edge and then trim them down, so it just gives that random look to it. And let's put that one up here. And it's one of these techniques that you kind of just have to have faith, because the more shapes you add, the better it looks. So in the beginning, you're like, I don't know about this one, Sheri. This one might not be one of those techniques I'm buying into. But if you have faith and you follow along, I promise we're going to get there. And because my stars are stars, I'm trying to twist and turn them so they're not like little soldiers marching across the page. I want them in different directions. If you're using something like a circle or a snowflake that is a little bit more, I guess, non-directional, then you don't have to worry about it as much. All right, so this is taking a good chunk of stars. And so in this case, like I said, smaller shapes are a little bit better because you can fit a few more on and create more of that dimension. But if you had, say you had like a large flower or something like a flourish or something, you could always just do a couple of layers of that one image and cover your whole area with that one image. It's a really fun technique that you can use in a lot of different ways. All right, so there's my first layer. It looks like I am going to need some more stars to go back and do a second layer. Whoops, timber. I'm just going to trim off my cutaways so I can get at the edge with my punch. And let's punch a bunch more. Rhyme was not intended. All right, that should do me. And let's just go back over all these again. This one's going to be easier because I don't even have to think about where they're going. I'm just stacking them on top. That's looking better. I'm going to do a couple, then I'll hold it up closer to the camera so you can see the difference between the double stacked and the single stacked. Get that straight. Okay, so these three here are double stacked. Why am I in such a void here? These three are double stacked. These ones are single stacked. So you can really see the difference that 2 layers of paper makes. So even though it is a little bit more work, I would highly recommend it. The other thing you can do when we're all done is the same thing you might do with an embossed image, is just take your ink and you can lightly go over or a little bit of a sponge and kind of hit some of the highlights. And that will also help bring out those raised images. Or if you had the forethought to do that, you could always ink your shapes just in like a tone on tone color and do that before you glue them down. All right, so I'm just going to finish layering these guys up. Almost tried to pick up one there that was already stuck down. Here we go. Almost need a little bit of music in the background because we're just gluing, gluing, gluing. Here we go. We're getting there. I apologize. I kind of got lost in my own thoughts there. The joys of crafting takes you away. And what do I need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. Oh, I think I'm going to have just enough. The other thing you can do if you have a strong paper trimmer and you think you're going to do a bunch of these kinds of cards is that you could cover, a much bigger area and then use your guillotine trimmer to cut your pieces apart if you don't want to do smaller pieces. If you are doing, you could do a 4x12 strip of this technique as well if you're a scrapbooker and put it up the side of your layout. That actually just gave me an idea for something else. See, sometimes you just talk your ideas through and other ideas come out. I love that about our community, that we can share ideas and you guys can listen to me just kind of ramble on. Yeah, look, I've got the perfect number of stars. That was not on purpose, but happy.
And you better go buy a lottery ticket.
What's that?
You better go buy a lottery ticket.
That would be good.
I'm on a
All
roll.
right.
I'll shut up now.
No worries at all. All right. So
Looks
there,
good.
you can see that that double layer just makes that world of difference. I'm going to grab my scissors and just trim off these extra little bits. And they're going to go flying. I'll have to go and clean them up afterwards.
I'll add this technique to my to-do list that's 1.5 miles long.
Yeah. Join the club. All right. So there is my star panel all ready for our card. And I'm just going to set it aside so that that liquid glue can set. I did not bring any ink with me today, so I can't show you that edging technique, but you get the idea. You can just kind of lightly go over it, but I actually quite like it with the 2 layers of the shapes. It gives that embossed look without too much extra work. All right, so we're going to just tidy up. I'm going to set that aside there. And now let's get our card base prepped. So we're going to do a triangle pocket on this one. And I think we've done similar ones to this in the past, but it's always nice to have a little extra pocket, especially as we get closer to the biggest gift giving season of the year. And this way you could tuck extra little messages inside or gift cards. And it just gives an extra little element and an extra little bit of surprise to your card. So I do have my standard card base. I'm going to open it up. This is the front, so I'm not on the inside. I'm with the, not that, you know, it makes a big difference with just a plain white card, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this bottom right-hand corner. So I'm going to line this up in my paper trimmer with the top right corner and this bottom left corner that's right by the fold lined up in my track so that I can cut that right off as a triangle. Now, it's totally up to you. If you just want a shorter triangle, you can. I like doing edge to edge, but you've got lots of flexibility. So let me just line that up there. See if I can bring it. I've got the fold right here and that top corner right at the top in my track. And I'm just going to slide up. Now, sometimes when I do this technique, when I start to push, it actually, the paper starts to resist. So if you have that situation where you can't really get it to start cutting, you can just lift up and kind of punch down into the paper, then go down, then go up, and you still will be able to cut this really nicely and cleanly. I'm now going to grab my thin score tape. Oh, I had a glitch there. I had a roll yesterday and I must have packed it up and taken it home. So good thing I'm in a craft store because I had to grab another one. All right, so we have our card and we have our triangle. I'm now going to flip it over so that the attached triangle is on the left-hand side. And I'm simply going to tape this down to the inside of the card. But I'm only going to tape on the 2, I'm going to call them straight edges as opposed to the diagonal. Well, that was interesting. I just dropped some water right on my paper or my tape runner. All good. Not on my project, which is better. All right. So just along those 2 outside edges for my score tape, you can use liquid glue. You can use your regular tape runner. when I'm doing pockets, I like using the thin tape so that it gives me the most room in my pocket. And I'm trying to go as close to my edges as I can. That way, if you've got a bigger gift card or you put a tag inside, you've got lots of room for that pocket to grab. Give it a little burnish, and I'm going to peel. And I'm just going to stick it down. So lining up the bottom edge. And it should all go up nice and tall. And now I've got my little pocket here. Let's give this a burnish. Yeah, 1 second, ladies. Just spilled my water. You guys are getting the full blooper reel today. Good thing it's just water and not coffee. All right, we'll clean the rest of that up later. Okay, so I've got my bone folder. I'm just going to give this a really good crease on that fold side. And we will finish this up by taking our embossed panel, and I'm going to center it as if I was putting it on the full card front, but when we glue it down, we're only going to glue it on this top triangle. Do not put any glue on your pocket or your card will not open. So in this case, I do like to put the tape or the glue on this piece, so I make sure that I just put it there. Also, don't go too close to the edge because remember, we are leaving a little bit of a border around our embossed panel. So I'm just going to take some liquid glue, draw a little triangle like so. I think I went a little too far over, but we can fix that. There we go. And so now your embossed panel is on the front. It opens up and you've got your little pocket here. You could take another piece of this teal paper if you wanted to do the same technique and put it on this inside. I think I'm just going to grab 3 more stars. Like so. And I'm just going to kind of sprinkle them. So maybe one up here. One here. And I am trying to inset them so that when it's closed, they don't give away any of the surprise. Like that. And then I have a stamp set. This is the awesome stamp set from Photo Play. It's not gonna quite, well, maybe I can get it to fit in there. You could obviously also put your sentiment on the front. I just want to keep it simple. And let's ink this baby up. Got some good coverage there on my stamp. You know what? I'm going to put it up here. Anyways, you get the idea. The last little thing I'm going to show you, and I'm going to use some red sparkly Nuvo glue. It's probably not the color I would recommend to go with this color, but if you had gold or silver. I'm just going to do the red. You could pick a highlight here. So maybe just one little star here that you want to make look a little bit different. Actually, this color is not too bad, especially when it dries, that milkiness will go away. But there, it just kind of gives a little spotlight. There we go. So there is your faux embossed triangle pocket awesome card for today. Thank
Nice
you, ladies, for
concept.
joining me. Sorry?
Nice concept.
Thank you. Yes. If anything from all my bloopers today, if you at least take away the concept, then we are good to go and you've learned something new.
Bloopers,
So thank you so much.
No bloopers. No bloopers.
Oh, you don't see the the puddle of water here beside me, but that's all good.
Just don't do a Margaret and fall in it.
Well, I'll try not to.